We are live, and
that was total and utter domination. There's no sugarcoating that.
Weren't we all expecting it? I mean, when we talked about the Australian batting lineup, we were all scared of exactly this happening.
Yeah.
Yep, Australia ahead thanks to Travis Head's brilliance and the
Absolutely.
genius of smut.
There's so many puns, head and shoulders above.
Head and shoulders. I did a anatomy video, by the way. Do check that
Over
out.
our heads.
Yeah.
It's over India's heads.
Yeah.
And we are joined by Nikhil. Nikhil, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep. So, India's mind totally blown away by Travis Head, Nikhil, today?
Yeah, no, why just the mind? Mind, body, and soul. Everything blown away. I mean, one is to just, I think, what, 3 down? And that's one. So to have 7 wickets in hand. And the other bit, at the pace that they've got their runs,
Yeah.
over 300 runs on day one. I think, I'm just going back. I kind of agreed with the Indian team, the decision that they made, winning the toss and deciding to bowl first. And that was primarily because you knew at the time that you didn't want to have the test match end in the first session of day one. You didn't want that, right? That could have happened had India probably lost, let's say, 3 or 4 wickets in the first session. And then you were chasing the test match. But in the situation that we find ourselves right now in, at the end of day one, it's a similar situation. In fact, from here on, look at all test matches that you would have won. It's very, very rare that you will see a team make a comeback, get ahead of the game. You really have to bat out of your skin to do that. So where it stands right now, at the end of day one, I know that's just 20% of the total game being played. But even now, where India stands, you're going to be behind the game all throughout. It's you chasing the game. Day one, what Australia has done, they've already, gone so far ahead that no matter how well you do from here, maybe like a collapse or whatever, you're chasing the game. Because let's look at scenarios like you come refreshed the next day, your bowlers do well, you pick up wicket, and show maybe whatever best case scenario, get the 7 wickets for 100 more runs. That's best case scenario. Even then 400, you got to bat really well to get that, right? So I'm saying even in best case scenarios, if you take a look at it, Australia are going to be in this a very comfortable position in this test match. So as we keep talking every day, session by session, of course, things keep changing and we keep talking about how each session, 20 minutes is so important in a game. But I think they're still far ahead.
But I think it's very brilliant try and the draft.
Fucking shit. We're shit.
I don't use that line. Don't use that line. So, disappointed Indian fans, to say the least. I think you heard it from them.
Yep.
Unfiltered, I might add.
Yes.
So, I mean, again, that's the problem as well. What was everyone expecting, that you will steamroll the Aussies? No, right? When we were discussing about it, I think everyone gave Australia an edge for a reason, and everyone agreed to the fact that you had to be really good, really, really good to ensure that you make a game out of it. So I think that's the position you're in. But if you ask the Indian team today, and they will be talking to the press shortly, it's not an ideal day. It's not the best case scenario. But were they expecting anything less? No. I think you were expecting runs from Steve Smith. A lot of us were expecting runs from Labuschagne. Maybe he didn't get the runs. Head got those runs. Head would keep getting runs here as well. So I think, yes, Australia far ahead in the test match, absolutely. But I think this is something that you're playing test match cricket, you would have been aware of. And you then again have to come back, refresh next day, start from scratch. Who knows where the game goes? The one thing that I'm kind of happy about, that they didn't seem to be those many demons in the pitch. So I guess if Indians also do apply themselves, and apply is the operative word, where you really need to concentrate on this pitch, something that Rohit Sharma alluded to. If they were to do that, I think there are runs to be had on this pitch.
Yeah, I mean, see, if you have to look at your own admission that you just said, Nikhil, that they didn't want this match, if India would have batted first, they didn't want the match to be over in one session. It kind of also gives an indication that you're not confident about your batting lineup. Number one. Number two, this is where the transition from IPL to red ball test match cricket, this is where you have been exposed. Looking at the way how it is, look at the economy rates. The best economy rate, can you just show that, Anurag? Just open the scorecard there. Scorecard? Yeah. The best economy rate is 3.4. What does that indicate? Indicates two things. One, lack of discipline at one end. Second, inability to adjust from white ball to red ball. And it was clearly evident. Whether this hurts India and whether the Aussies also struggle, that will be known once they come out to bowl. But you don't have confidence in your batting lineup, and the transition, this is why we were stressing. That this is the reason, Nikhil.
No, I mean, I was just going back on that confidence on the batting lineup. You could look at it two ways, right? You could look at it whether that was a defensive approach. Maybe you could, conventional logic will say in a test match, always, bat first. Yes, the first hour or so is going to be tough, but then weather that storm and then, there are runs to be made and then you will always be ahead in the test match. Yes, that's conventional logic. But I'm saying it's hindsight, right? We're talking all of this in. It's in hindsight. I'm saying what would be a scenario like, let's say India were to bat first and let's say they fared worse than the Australians. Let's say that first hour or so. And again, one more thing, nobody was to know that it's going to be a bright sunny day today. It didn't start off like that. In fact, let me just tell you, and I'm just giving benefit of the doubt to the Indian team, the last 2 days that we've had here, both days started off pretty much the way today started off, with grey skies, very cold conditions. But it remained like that throughout the day. It was only towards the latter half of the day, about 3:30, 4 is when you really saw the sun come out, which is predominantly, about 70% of the day's play done. So if you had that in mind, but today it was completely the opposite. It was just the first hour that we got those conditions, it changed. There's no way that the Indian team management was going to know that, right? I mean, this is something that no one could have predicted. So benefit of the doubt there. Secondly, I'm saying, benefit of hindsight. In a reverse scenario, let's say India were to choose to bat first. What if they were your batting lineup? I mean, your regular batsman till number 5, Ajinkya Rahane, assuming you lost your 4 wickets for 40 odd runs first hour, we would have all been with our knives out, right? Looking at the Indian team, criticizing them for having decided to be batting first. Once again, failing to read the conditions, something that you found them guilty of at the last WTC as well. So this is in hindsight, yes. We have that benefit of hindsight, which the Indian team didn't. At that moment, I didn't find that the decision was wrong. I think it was the first session, the first day. And even what I'm saying, going ahead, there's still a lot of time, right? There could be runs to be had on this ground. Maybe that is something that the Indian team could look at.
I think when you talk about Rohit in the PC talked a lot about not making mistakes, the same mistakes that they did the last time. I think it was a lot of pressure that they took, or maybe thought about it a bit too much, because I remember watching.
Yeah, yesterday.
That's what I was telling you the other day. Like,
because I remember watching the PC and
I just want to get a few fans in. Sorry.
Okay.
Like, we had a chat the other day, or I think day before yesterday, and that's what I was telling you. Like, yes, I mean, we are very optimistic. We are thinking that it's going to be easy. But my only worry is on plan and execution.
So what do you think went wrong?
So today, was bowling from off.
You have to be a bit loud, so that they can catch.
Shami was bowling from the off stump. Steve Smith shot from the off stump.
Nikhil, you'll have to ask them to talk a bit louder. We can't hear them.
Great angle. Even if he's going to hit you for 3-4 boundaries, it doesn't matter. You're playing a test match. You have to change the angle. You have to create the opportunities. It's just that you take sweeper and you take a fine leg and square leg and put one in the 75 yard. Just let him go. Let
So
him
you
play
think the
hook.
bowling lines weren't there today?
Exactly. Exactly.
You think India could have bowled better?
Exactly. Basic bowling, very basic bowling on the same 70 bowling. You have to create the angles. If you don't create angles with Steve Smith, you're not getting him out at all. You have to create an angle. You have to bowl him short, let him hit on the shoulder, let him hit on the on his helmet. You have to do that.
What did you guys make of India deciding to bowl first?
See, it's a good, brave decision. I mean, it's again like any team could have batted first, but it's a very brave decision.
In hindsight, people will say, because we can now see what happened in day one, and people might say the wrong decision. But at that time, looked right to me.
But I will still go with the Sharma decision. We have taken the great
Exactly, I'm going
very
with
good
it.
decision. You have to make a plan against Steve Smith. You can't do that basic bowling. Only thing is, they are just bowling from one side, one angle. You have to create an angle. And if you don't do that, Steve Smith is going to score 300 on this wicket. The way he's batting right now. You have to create the opportunity. It doesn't go this way.
But tell me, one thing is certain that yes, maybe India didn't get their bowling plans right. One thing is certain that the pitch isn't that tough to bat on in terms of, and it's not moving also the ball that much that sometimes you worry that ball's really moving around. I'm not going to bat. It's not like that today. One thing that was also really worked in Australia's favor is a nice bright sunny day.
But Nikhil, like good wicket for bat compared to versus in Mumbai or Delhi or Bangalore. Still, this wicket is still good for a bonus. Still,
It is, but maybe it's a better. Yeah, but see, those are spinning tracks, right? Your spinners come into play.
Yeah, I'm talking about the seamers.
Yeah, no. I completely agree that the seamers not on point today. I'm not denying that. I'm saying that if you look at the pitch, it's not as conducive to seam bowling or fast bowling as we thought at the start of the play. I thought that this was the kind of a day or the kind of a pitch where the ball will be moving around through the day and batsmen are just going to be fishing for it. It wasn't that kind of a pitch or condition.
Batsman in that.
Of course I did. Of course.
It
But
was
Steve
pretty
Smith.
easy. Yeah, it was pretty easy.
Amazing.
But again, I think we could have bowled better. I still think we have not created the right. We have not executed the right plan.
Acha.
It's an international cricket and we have to make.
Okay, assuming now whatever happens from here on, right? Best case scenario, Australia get let's say 500 comes, right? You think the conditions are good enough for a Rohit, for a Virat, for a Pujara also to get hundreds of their own?
Yes,
Huh?
I agree.
It's coming by Virat for sure.
Okay,
I can see that for sure. I'm very optimistic. 100% is coming, 100%.
Okay.
And then we have to show the advantage because we are batting.
You think India can do that?
Yeah, given
No
the
matter
weather
what.
same as sunny as bright like this, yes,
Uh-huh.
indeed, it's gonna be a tough competition. India is gonna bat well, and we have deep, batting lineup. The only thing I think that I don't understand the exclusion of Ashwin because if you are bowling. If you need a spinner to bowl 20 overs, why not your experienced bowler, right? Rather than using 4 seamers. So that's I think we are missing Ashwin.
Now Umesh Yadav is looking, unfortunately, with all due respect, to me he's looking waste right now. Yeah, I don't see anything's coming from Umesh Yadav. Very basic bowling, on good length. No, he's not creating any opportunity.
That zip is not there, right?
Yeah.
He was known for.
He hit the deck.
Yeah.
I don't see anything happening from the deck today. I didn't see anything. So that's a worry point now. Let's see how it goes, but I'm still optimistic. 550, the fingers crossed we are safe.
Okay, on that note, thank you so much. Take care. Fans that we catch up with on and off in the ground. So you heard it from them. I kind of agree. I don't know what you guys made of those comments. Kind of agree that India could have done better with the bowling. But as I said, the silver lining is that pitch isn't, doesn't have demons in it. It's not a kind of pitch that you'd be worried about. If you apply yourself, you can get runs. You heard it from the fans who are very critical of the Indian bowlers, but also think that India can score big here.
Yeah, we hope so. But this defensive mindset that we have, okay, today Rohit, I mean, if you ask me honestly, we are all talking with the respect of hindsight. I, for one, was surprised that India chose to bowl. Honestly. Because if you look at India's past record, in an ICC event, some things just don't change. If India have had success in the past in England, it's been when they batted first. Look at Lords, look at Oval in 2021. Didn't they bat first? Overcast conditions much more, green pitch even more. But yet, In this,
But
maybe.
Siddharth, what happened in the last test match that India played in England? The last time they played in England, what happened?
Yeah, they
India batted first, England won.
Yep. But again, if you have to look at that, why did they suffer? Because in the second innings, they had a collapse.
Yeah.
6 for 60. And it is that same collapse that is
So-
impeding at this
So
point. in
is
time.
it possible? Is it possible that batting fourth inning are the best conditions here? Is it possible it could still happen here? Who knows?
Maybe, but then see, this pitch doesn't have the pace and zip. It doesn't. It's, but the bounce is uneven. And because of that, see, India were not disciplined enough. You look at Umesh Yadav, yet again, bowl to the left, bowl to the right. Siraj, I mean, the one place where Rohit Sharma was off with his captaincy, Siraj was bowling short at the body of Travis Head. Why no short leg? If you wanted to attack, why no short leg?
In fact, there was at one point, remember, where he did kind of get an awkward edge and then he looked. There was no fielder, so he took a very simple run. So it just, I don't know.
You know what I think it is? I think it's purely psychological sort of trouble that Indian management went through before the squad was chosen, because they were so haunted by, the last time, and that they did not, utilize the conditions well. And I think they were just so overtaken by that. They saw the, overhead conditions, they saw the overcast, they saw the pitch, and they were like, okay, 4 pacers, 1 spinner. And I think that's what really did it, because even that's the point I was referring to. Is yesterday when Rohit did the PC, he was talking about, we don't want to make the same mistake, we don't want to make the same mistake. I think it could be a little bit of that.
No, exactly, because if you look at the kind of team selection they had today, would have worked perfectly in the 2021 World Test Championship final.
Yeah.
And the team selection, bowling wise, that they made in 2021 works perfectly today. So they've ended up reversing it somehow.
They reverse it and they are too overwhelmed by the conditions. Okay, if 2002, if Rohit Sharma was leading India in that 2002 Leeds match, grey overcast conditions and green pitch, they would have said, oh, England bowl first. But then India batted 628. It would not have been possible under this management or captaincy.
Also, just remind us of one thing. When we were discussing India's batting lineup or India's lineup really, we said very clearly that Australia, come what may, are going to stick to their combination.
Yeah.
Yep. 4
We
pacers,
knew
1
4
spinner.
pacers, 1 spinner, because why? That is their strongest combination.
That's their core, right?
Exactly.
We lost our core. I think
And
that's the main
Australia
problem as well.
ICC events, bat first. They always had a mantra, bat
No,
first.
in hindsight, and I'm saying this with the benefit of hindsight, this was a very good toss for them to lose. Because it took the decision out of their hands.
I think they would be very happy.
Oh yeah, after today, yes.
Very
on top
much.
of the test match.
Very much. And see, the problem is, I am not too concerned about selection. See, selection, you blundered in not taking Ravichandran Ashwin today. But you were already compromised because you're going to play 4 pacers. And if you didn't include Ravindra Jadeja, your batting would have been one-dimensional, all right-handers.
Yeah.
Now you're in a catch-22. What are you going to do? Oh, left-hander, right-hander. As if 2 spinners plus or 1 spinner wasn't enough. This was the conundrum you had. Now, this is where you're going to see Australia step up in a way, because your bowlers are all fresh. They don't have the burden of, oh, we are going to change from IPL to this thing. It was clearly evident.
Yeah.
Siraj was the lone exception to the norm. Shami, towards the fag end, even he struggled. Shardul struggled. Jadeja struggled.
With Shardul, you also have to remember, not only was he, as you say, bowling in T20 mode, through the second half of the IPL, he was barely bowling. He was dealing with injury.
He was.
And I think I say this in hindsight as well, very honestly. When, looking at the conditions that were there yesterday and today, at the beginning of the test match, I thought they were going with the right team. I thought, I had a hint of, okay, maybe this is the right decision, maybe this will work in our favor. But then when we saw as the game progressed, you realize with Ravichandran Ashwin, you're just not losing a genius mind, you're losing, one of your most experienced players, but you're losing a wicket taker. How many wickets is Ravindra Jadeja taking in
Last month, the officials of Ministry of Road Transport and Highways.
Yep.
Right.
So, I'll add to that. I will just echo Shane's thinking of Ravichandran Ashwin, okay? What did the management think at that point in time? I'll echo the management. According to the management, Ashwin can't perform in Sena countries. Most of the wickets that he got, 61 of those wickets that he got in the World Test Championship cycle, which by the way is the leading wicket taker for India.
Third highest overall.
Third highest overall, he got it all playing in Asia. How credible is that? 99% credible. However, Ashwin has troubled the likes of who?
Smith.
And
Labuschagne.
no, left-handers.
Yeah, of course.
Who is Travis Head?
Left-hander.
Left-hander. Khwaja, Warner, Head. Then you've got Carey.
Yeah.
Then you've got Stark. 5 left-handers. Even in his worst of form in Sena countries, he troubled left-handers. Who did he trouble in England? Alistair Cook. Who else did he trouble? A certain Benjamin Andrew Stokes.
Yeah.
So why couldn't you have gone with certain trends? Why are you so spooked with the conditions? If India wanted to be proactive, they should have batted first. It's a different thing altogether that what Nikhil pointed out that discipline is an issue. Maybe India might not have had that discipline. Scott Boland could have gotten much more purchase. Stark could have gotten much more purchase. Cummins could have gotten much more purchase. Then you've got the discipline Nathan Lyon also to deal with. Lyon is a guy who plays only tests. So he need not readjust. He just has to bowl in those right lengths.
In fact, if you're looking at recent times, none of their bowlers who are playing are actually coming off a white ball season.
Except Cameron Green.
Yeah, and even he's not like a regular full-time bowler.
Not your specialist bowler.
He's your fourth seamer. He is to them what Shardul is to us. The only difference is Shardul was being asked to bowl way more today. Why? Because your third seamer wasn't stepping up.
This is where I'm saying like Umesh Yadav.
See, with Australia, you would have had a Stark. If not metronomic, at least he'd be up there in terms of the pace.
Yeah.
Then you'd have a Cummins. Hard lengths, constantly, 145, 148, deal with it. Scott Boland, not quite there in terms of pace, but again,
Movement.
metronomic, he'll keep hitting this thing, and he'll wait for you to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Deal with that. And by the way, even though Jadeja didn't get a wicket, there were some balls he was getting a fair bit of turn.
Yeah.
Imagine now, in hindsight, again, you're saying with the benefit of hindsight, but if you had 2 spinners.
Again, but see, I will not go by the 2-spinner theory because in the oval, traditionally 4 pacers and a spinner works. You rarely play 2 or 3 spinners.
It could have been Ashwin in place of Jadeja is what you're trying to say, I think.
But again, the problem of including Ashwin was that your entire batting lineup was right-handed.
Right.
You needed a left-hander. You're not going to risk Ishan
And you
Kishan.
needed a left-hander like Jadeja to
Who can
come
float.
in.
Exactly. That's the other problem.
This is where you're missing Rishabh Pant.
Yep.
Badly.
Bad.
Very badly. Because Pant would have given you the left-hand option immediately.
And could float too.
And could float.
Because in test, it doesn't matter where he's batting. You just have to send him out to bat and tell him bat.
Yeah. He'll do his magic.
Simple.
Yep.
Bat first. When given the opportunity. India have had success in 2021 when you batted first. The problem in 2022, okay, to balance that out, what happened? They collapsed in the second innings. 7 for 57, they collapsed.
Also, lest we forget, you got baseballed.
Yes.
Badly. You did not know the full this thing. You know what? I remember a lot of us when we were discussing, prior to that one-off test, they had baseballed New Zealand. They're like, no, this approach won't work against everyone. Like, Jasprit Bumrah will be bowling. There's no way they'll take that. Well, guess what? They did.
They did.
And who was the one? Johnny Bairstow.
Yeah.
Someone who's hardly considered a technical test batsman by any stretch of the imagination. Helped by Virat Kohli constantly sledging him.
Yeah. And when you sledge Bairstow, it often proves to be very bad. The Aussies found it out when, remember the Perth incident?
Yeah.
He knocked himself in the head. He scored a stun.
In fact, I know one time with Bairstow, he was being criticized by, of all people, Michael Vaughan. So he scored a ton in an ODI match, and you know what he had to reply in response? He was patting his head like this. What is the shot? The fact that Vaughan had gone bald and actually had to get like a hair transplant done, so he was playing with his head.
Yeah.
So Bairstow is definitely one of those people you don't want to get under his skin.
Yeah.
He has that tendency of like giving it back to you, not with his words. He'll
With
bat
his
longer.
bats.
Yes.
And I think on the field as well, we were missing Rishabh Pant's energy and the confidence that he gives the bowlers. You know, it's a
That's one
different.
problem I have with Shikhar Bharat.
Huh?
That's one problem I have with KS Bharat.
Okay.
Shikhar Bharat.
Right.
Connor Shikhar Bharat, that's
I thought you said it ulta.
No. Shikhar Bharat
Yeah.
is that he's not chirpy enough.
Maybe because he is, just coming into the team. And imagine me as a youngster going into a team full of experienced players, of veterans, and then telling them aise nahi aise dalo or something like that.
Not aise dalo, but you can also gear up the players, right?
But still, there's a little bit of reservation while doing that.
I mean, see, what was the problem? The problem was your third and fourth pacers. And it all changed from the 15th over. What happened? Umesh Yadav.
Yeah.
4 boundaries in 1 over to an out of form David Warner.
Yeah.
Then after that, Travis Head.
Also, by the way, I will say this with Warner, he's not out of form. He's out of form in white ball cricket. The way he was batting in IPL is exactly how he batted today.
Yes.
And it actually worked. If not for him tickling the worst ball that Shardul bowled today, he would have actually been getting these runs.
Yep, okay. So, Thompson De Cruz is like saying India are totally underprepared, read the pitch wrong. I agree. Tactical error by not playing Ash. Again, 50-50 on that.
Hindsight. The
Yes,
benefit of
but I think
hindsight.
he could have actually gone with 3 pacers today.
Yeah. Oz will pile 550. Yes. I think Australia will be bat once, bat big.
They look to get 600, not just 500.
Exactly. India look like they have given up. Pray for a draw. Yeah, pray for a draw.
And last line, sad.
Sad. Exactly.
I think the Indian management was completely thrown into a fit because
They saw the green.
Jasprit Bumrah, Shreyas Iyer gone, Jasprit Bumrah gone, and
Rishabh
then
Pant.
what are the conditions? Rishabh Pant gone. I mean, panic mode on.
I'm just saying, whenever India have achieved success in England, it's come while batting first. Batting first. Irrespective of conditions. You think conditions in the 90s and the 2000s weren't as green?
Oh no, they were worse, I would argue. Don't forget, we still live in an era of baseball where they look to make hard pitches.
Yeah.
Those times it used to be traditional English pitches, which meant
Yep. So we are cutting live to the Oval.
World Test Championship
where-
final being played between India and Australia. I'm coming to you live from right outside the venue of that particular game. This is the Oval Cricket Ground right behind me. We will soon be joined by Sunny Gavaskar and we'll look back at how the day's play panned out. Overall, if you were to just look at it in terms of Australia versus India, which team has the edge? There is only one answer. Clear-cut winners of day one in that sense have been Australia, dominated by 2 batsmen in Head, Travis Head, who's got 146 not out. And then you've got the ever dependable and outstanding Steve Smith. He had been spending a lot of time here playing county cricket. He's on 95, just 5 runs short of that 100-run mark. So these 2 batsmen have consolidated Australia's position, 327 for 3 that they've got. 2 things that really stand out in terms of Australia's performance today. One, of course, the fact that they've only lost 3 wickets. So they still have 7 wickets in hand. And this, remember, is just day one. The other thing that really stands out is the pace of their innings. To get 300 runs on a day, in fact, 327 runs on day one. That's really set the tempo for Australia on day one. Now, one of the biggest question marks has been over Ravichandran Ashwin and whether it was the right call not to have played him. Let's take a look at his performance in the recent past and then try and analyze his omission today.
Yeah, we've got 4 seamers and 1 spinner. The spinner is Ravindra Jadeja.
India's leading wicket taker in the run-up to the WTC final was left out of the playing 11 at the Oval. It was a choice between Ravi Ashwin and Shardul Thakur,
Okay.
and the team
We
management
are-
showed greater
we'll be
faith
expecting
in the
some
Mumbai
nice
Cup.
updates from
Nice
legend.
updates.
It's always been tough.
He will come
He's
soon,
been
yes.
such a match winner for
Let's
us.
just take a
over the
moment
course of
and
so many years.
appreciate not just
so
Travis
leaving him
Head,
out is not a
but
great occasion.
Steve
but
Smith.
you got to
Yes.
do the things that is
classic
needed for the
Steve
team.
Smith, classic
and
Travis Head.
eventually
we were
came
all
up
expecting
with
this
that
before we
decision.
went into the
Ravi
into the
Ashwin
game.
watched the action.
And this is exactly what we were all afraid of. This was very. I mean, I was expecting this out of Australia. Their bowling lineup, of course, top class. But this batting, it's so hard to break down.
And remember, Australia's batting was the thing that let them down in 2018, 19, 2020, 21, and also in this subsequent series which they lost. I mean, remember, Australia's batting when they stepped up at Indore, that was the reason they won.
Yeah.
But Steve Smith, man. I mean, there are certain tracks around the world where players would want to take it and they want to employ it at home. Virat Kohli loves Adelaide.
Adelaide, yep.
But Steve Smith, every ground in England, Lords, Oval, he just loves London.
He just loves batting. I think that's what does it for him.
Because remember, in Kent County ground where they were practicing, Steve Smith practiced for 7 hours. We are going back to Nikhil at the Oval.
And how they performed on this particular day, that is day one of the test match. Remember, India decided to go in with 4 fast bowlers and only 1 spinner. 3 wickets in total to fall, and those 3 wickets have been evenly divided between the 3 fast bowlers. Namely, Mohammad Shami got that 1 wicket. You've got Mohammad Siraj, also the 2 standout fast bowlers for India, not just in this match, but for some time now. Both of them with 1 wicket apiece. And then you also got Shardul Thakur picking up that 1 wicket, and Shardul, of course, getting the wicket of David Warner. David Warner trying to play that pull shot was dismissed by the wicketkeeper. So those are the 3 wickets to fall. But the bowlers were expensive as well. If you take a look at Mohammad Shami's figure, he leaked 77 runs in the 20 overs that he bowled, going close to 4 runs an over, which you would say is slightly expensive, on the expensive side in a test match. Then you got Mohammad Siraj going for 3.5 runs per over, getting that 1 wicket. Umesh Yadav, I think that's the one bowler that we will spend a lot of time talking about. Not his performance, but rather his non-performance on the day. Him leaking about 54 runs, then picking up no wickets. And it's not always the runs or the wickets that become discussion points. It is more, in fact, the effectiveness of the bowler that you really need to look at. And today, you'd have to say, in terms of performance, Umesh Yadav wasn't really quite there. You didn't see the usual zip that you see in his bowling. And I think that's why, out of all the bowlers that were on display today, his non-performance would become a big talking point. Shardul Thakur, because you went in with 4 fast bowlers, but the most expensive on the day, going for over 4 runs and over at 4.16, picking up that 1 wicket. And then the lone spinner in the pack, Ravindra Jadeja, eventually at 3.42, but he started off very well, just giving away about 2 runs and over in an initial spell. But from there on, he did become a bit expensive once the 2 batsmen was leaking a few runs. Initially, when he came on to bowl, you thought that Jadeja wasn't too far away from picking up a wicket, but that wasn't to be. He, alongside Umesh Yadav, were the 2 bowlers that went wicketless on day 1 of the test match. That's how the test match has panned out so far. The few discussion points that will be there going forward, I think, would be India's decision after having won the toss to put the opposition in. Now, there are 2 schools of thought there when you analyze that decision that India made of putting the opposition in. On one side, you have those that believe that maybe it was the right call. It was the right call because it's bright and sunny right now, but that's not how the day started here in London. It was overcast conditions. There were conditions that were going to be conducive for fast bowling. And probably at the time, the Indian team management and Rohit have 4 fast bowlers and have the 4 fast bowlers then bowling in a way that they can put a lot of pressure on the opposition. If India would have decided to bat first, and if India had lost a few wickets, maybe 3 or 4 wickets to begin with, then it would have been India chasing the test match from there on. Because remember, India's top order is very crucial. If they were to not be able to get those early breakthroughs, it could be a problem area for the Indian team. We will try and show you the highlights of what's really happened in the game so far. It was a day dominated by Australia. But meanwhile, let's quickly take a look at the record that India has at the Oval. And in case you're at the moment worried about India's performance and think that maybe India from here on would be chasing the game throughout, not quite. They've done very well in this ground. There are reasons behind that. Let's take a look at those performances and the stats that India have at this particular venue.
If India were to pick one ground in England where they would have wanted to play the WTC final,
back to us, and yeah, we are all trying to be positive. We are all trying to be positive, but let us just be very, very clear about it. As some of the family members are pointing out at me in particular, Ganesh Khair is saying it is easy to criticize a decision. No.
Yes, it is.
Oh, of course it's easy to criticize. But I mean, with the benefit of hindsight, it is always easier.
See,
that's what we're doing.
In a country like India, it is never easy, Ganesh. Let me just make it very clear. Because in telling us this, you are also criticizing your own decision in a way. Because see, I have pointed out with facts and stats, check it out. In England, whenever you get success, you bat first. Simple. I don't care about Edgbaston 2022 baseball. That's a new era altogether. But prior to that, from 2002 onwards, you batted first. End of story.
In fact, if you're talking about positivity, a lot of our own family members, Artifact Shubham, has called Rohit something which I won't read. But he did say that, Rohit's captaincy left a lot to be desired. In fact, Virat also had this habit that he would change up between bowlers. Even someone like Kane Williamson, remember Jadeja going strong, he's referring to 2019.
No, 2021.
Oh, right, 2021. Jadeja going strong, Kane set up the field with Wagner and got him, correct? I mean, that's, to be fair, generally what tends to happen. If you're the captain, you'll have to be a little proactive and say, okay, nothing much is happening. I need to make things happen.
Yeah.
Kane is blessed. Kane was blessed with a bowling lineup that knew discipline.
Yeah.
Bolt, Saudi, best new ball bowlers ever for New Zealand in Test history. You had the towering presence of Jameson hitting the hard lengths. And you had a workhorse and a toiler like Neil Wagner. 2 broken toes, a broken foot, he will still charge in for 25 overs.
In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but 2021,
there we go.
Oh.
We're back.
327 is what Australia has got. We'll bring you the highlights on the program, so just bear with us a little later. But remember, just to sum up India's performance, 327 is what Australia have got, dominated by 2 batsmen in Steve Smith as well as Travis Head. Both of them really, dominating the Indian bowlers. You had Travis Head, in fact, at one point getting runs, a runner ball, almost at 6 runs and over. That's exactly how his strike rate was. To have 100 sort of strike rate, even though it was for a brief period in a test match, says a lot. So that's how Travis Head had been performing. Steve Smith started off as being the player that was playing the supporting role, but slowly and gradually built up that confidence, and now is on 95 not out, just 5 short of 100. So that's how Australia's innings is really panned out. As I said, the few big talking points of the day are going to be the toss, Rohit Sharma winning the toss and then deciding that it would be best to send the opposition in. You would also be talking about the selection of that one spinner between Ravichandran Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja. What would have been the right call? Of course, India decided to go in with Ravindra Jadeja. The other bit, one is which is that one spinner that should have played. The other bit, of course, people would be, curious to know would be the reasons behind why is it that India decided to pick Jadeja ahead of Ashwin if they decided to play with just one spinner. Finally, we have the match highlights for you. Let's quickly take a look at that in case you missed the entire 3 sessions of the day.
Yes.
So, coming back to the point we were making,
Australia ahead.
New Zealand being
Thanks to
best
Travis
bowlers,
Head
remember,
and the
even had
combined
underrated
genius
WTC
of Steve
like Colin
Smith.
Nagarando in that too.
The Aussies dominate
And
J1
in the
of
2019 World
ICC
Cup they were
World
talking
Test
about, it was Matt
Championship
Henry.
at the Oval.
Henry, remember 2015 he made the most inauspicious of debuts. I mean, he had to play in the World Cup semi-final. Bowled 2 maidens, but then after that got carted over by Faf du Plessis and AB de Villiers. But still, Ronak Sinha is like saying, so one thing should be abundantly clear now for Indian cricket team fans, that there's an appreciable gulf of quality between Bumrah and even Shami, let alone others. Head not attacked enough with the short ball, but then Ronak, we have been playing without Bumrah for close to a year now.
And not just that, no, he's right in the sense that Bumrah was that kind of an X-factor bowler who could make things happen even when they weren't happening. But what he's saying otherwise is right. We keep talking about deep pace battery and this, that. We did look a bit toothless, and it's not just down to the conditions. It's not just even down to the bowlers. I would say when Siraj was travelling head with a short ball, you didn't have a
short leg.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember seeing these visuals, and they had visualized the graphic of where the bowlers, the pacers especially, had been bowling to Travis Head, and it was all over the pitch.
Oh,
You know, but still, my point being, they did bowl a lot of short balls to head. It just wasn't troubling enough for head to, kind of throw his wicket to.
No, actually it would have if you had the right field positions, because there were, I remember multiple occasions where he was uncomfortable, especially if you got it onto his body line. He was not comfortable playing it there at all, and truth be told, that's true for a lot of batsmen. But then you didn't have the fielders nearby. You know, not every ball is going to balloon up, but the ones which do, you should have a fielder nearby to try and catch it.
Again, this is where you need to have a broader vision. This Indian team management has got tunnel vision. Why tunnel vision? Because they don't want to look outside of the tunnel or of that pond, the frog in the pond that they say, no. Why? Travis Head, short ball, short ball, short ball. Why couldn't you have short leg or a leg gully? Same with Steve Smith. Learn from England. What did England do? Going back, I'll come to that later.
Australia getting 327 runs for the loss of 3 wickets. It's a day that Indian team would like to forget very soon. Of course, you can talk about what really happened going past, but it is something that you really need to look forward to going forward. And one of the major areas that India would really need to work on would be India's batting as such. Now, remember, the silver lining of the day would be the way the pitch behaved. There were a lot of talks about, the conditions being very conducive for seam bowling, and it would be tough to get runs. But one thing Steve Smith as well as Head have shown the Indian team, that if you spend some time on the crease, then there are plenty of runs to be had on this particular track. That green tinge that it has, of course, does help some sort of seam bowling and swing bowling. But actually, if you take a look at the kind of runs that were scored or the kind of strokes that were made, credit to the Australian batsmen, but overall as well, it did give you some sort of indication that maybe runs could be scored if you apply yourself. And this is something that the Indian captain Rohit Sharma had also alluded to in the pre-match press conference where he spoke about the art of making runs in England. And he said, more often than not, the one thing that you have to do differently here, and I think he was alluding to pitches like this where you can play your strokes, but I think the only thing he said was to guard against being overconfident. There are stages in a batsman's inning when he kind of becomes slightly overconfident in terms of his stroke making, especially when he's got 30 or 40 runs scoring with the bat. And then that one moment that comes where you end up playing a bad stroke and you lose your wicket. And I think that is something that today, if you take a look at the game, David Warner was guilty of. He was looking good, did all the hard yards, was 40 something, and then that lapse of concentration ends up playing that stroke and then is caught by the wicketkeeper. And that is something that both Head and Steve Smith did not do in the entire duration of their inning, which is why they have taken Australia to such a strong position. I was speaking to a few fans earlier, right after the day's play, and while they were very disappointed with the way the Indian bowlers performed, or rather did not perform, they were also optimistic about the fact that on this kind of a track, with the kind of batting that India has, which has dominated all sorts of conditions, whether those conditions are English conditions or Australian conditions, they are hopeful that no matter how many runs Australia end up getting, India would be able to match that, if not get close to it, but at least match that. If you get even there and thereabouts, you could still have an interesting test match. Remember, this is just the first day of the test match, and we have seen teams previously, especially the Indian team, being in a bit of a precarious position at the start of day one, where the opposition team have notched up a lot of runs, but the Indian team have found ways to make a comeback. Many are hoping that this would also be another example of a test match where India does stage a comeback. One other thing that really stands out in India versus, playing in England, in India, batting fourth sometimes becomes very, very difficult because it's a turning track. You find it very difficult then to be batting in the fourth innings. That does not happen in England. So there are many experts that believe that as the days go on, as the games progress, batting tends to become slightly easy. On that front, remember, India may have decided to bowl first and not take advantage of batting first. But the advantage that India might have could be in the fourth innings. We've seen in the past that batting in the fourth innings, sometimes a lot of runs can be scored. The perfect example of that would be the last test match that India played in England. And that particular test match, India were at the receiving end. They batted first. And then you had someone like the English team in English conditions chase a big total. So I think India would take a lot of heart from that. So that's what happened on day one of the test match here at the Oval. I'm afraid that's all the time that we have on this edition of the Test of Champion. We'll take a short break right now, but news and updates continue on India Today on the other side.
So, what I was just saying about captaincy, you didn't keep a short leg or a leg gully in place of Travis Head. The Indian team have to learn from England.
For Steve Smith.
Yeah. Why? When Wokes was bowling in the 2019 Ashes, just a bit of foresight and hindsight. You know that Steve Smith has that shuffle. What did England do? Kept leg slip and they kept an unconventional short leg. Because what does Steve Smith do? Tuck off the hips, tuck off the pads. He got caught for 80 in that Oval Test match. And who troubled him? Wokes. If that doesn't work, bowl full, get it in. What trapped him LBW at the Oval, at Lord's? Remember that Archer spell that he survived? It was Wokes in Qatar. India cannot do that also. So that is why. Rookie techie is like saying draw is not possible as there are 6 days in WTC. No rookie techie.
No,
wrong.
6 days are reserve day.
That's a reserve day. It will only go if your one significant portion of the day is washed out.
Correct.
Even if it's a 1 hour rain delay on day 4 or day 5, you are not going to the 6th day.
Yeah.
7th to 11th, that's it.
It's the reserve day will be used only if a whole day is washed out.
Or for 5-6 hours and you cannot make it up.
Yeah.
So 6 hours minimum. So Fit Monk is like saying our captains and team shoulders were dropped and body language was sad. It shows where this game is heading. Even if he could manage to draw this, it would be a miracle. Aussies are far ahead. Totally agree, Fit Monk. Totally agree.
I disagree a little bit because it's very hard to tell because we're only seeing over by over and things in the middle. That's where the team gets in the middle and talks over everything. Those are the visuals we're not seeing. So it's not very it's very difficult to judge someone from TV unless you're on the ground or unless you're in the team and you know what's happening. And of course it's a test match. People tend to get, we're all humans.
Yep.
So they tend to get tired a little bit, and you can't chirp around for 90 overs.
Yeah,
It's just not humanly possible.
Yeah, again, rookie techie, they play 6 days of result not coming in 5 days. No, rookie techie, you are confusing that with the 2021 World Test Championship final because it rained. On 2 days it rained. So that's why you had to go to the 6th day. And the 6th day also would not have been a result had India, what did they do? Not spectacularly collapsed yet again.
Yeah.
Again, I'm telling you, there are 2 things impeding in the Sena country. One is an Indian collapse, which has happened 25 times in the last 7 years in the cycle. From 2015 onwards, every single time you look at it, it's been a collapse. So that is why. If India fails to win World Test Championship, then Rahul Dravid will still be the coach Harish Madisetti is like saying. He will be until the 2023 ODI World Cup. After that, his contract is up for renewal if it happens. So that is why. And Rahul Dravid, we'll talk about Rahul Dravid after the end of the World Test Championship. Okay, so we have gotten orders that
you don't have to say that.
We've gotten orders, but still, do you think in big games, Akash Bharadwaj saying, do you think in big games, Indian players don't step up like other team big players? Wait and watch.
Again, I think we're being a little negative, a little too early.
Yes.
Yeah, Australia are definitely in a bad position, but I think you have
India.
good batting conditions. I mean, Australia are definitely in a better. Sorry, I meant to say them in a much better position. I mixed up.
Yeah.
India definitely not in the ideal position. Come stumps if they want, but I mean, let's be fair. This does look like it could be a good batting track. So you don't really know.
Yeah, so maybe you will say that Virat Kohli, Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma runs are there in the making. Pujara, Rahane, best time to capitalize. But remember, the Australian bowlers are fresh. They don't have the pressure of, oh, we have played too much of cricket.
Yeah.
And remember, if Australia make about 550, 600, which looks likely, then Australia will go full tilt.
Then remember, no matter how good the batting conditions or how good your batsman, you still have 600 runs on the board, which are scary.
Yeah.
Yep, it's really a big problem. Will India ever perform in a knockout match? I think they can.
Yeah.
You've got 4 days left of this. Let's just see how it goes on. And honestly, if I have to look at it, Travis Head and Steve Smith, I mean, Bionic, I don't know what, just use your real name for once here. Just imagine what could be Steve Smith's average after this 100 in oval. Damn, just can't think. Absolute ruler of oval. I mean,
Yeah.
I can think his average at the oval is 125 and counting as this match is going on.
Yeah.
And his average against India is a staggering 70. And if he scores 100, it will be his 9th 100 against India.
Yeah.
Even if you just imagine, this recent Border Gavaskar Trophy was the first time Steve Smith had not scored a century against India in a 4-match series that he's played in. I mean, in 2020-21, he hit 1 century in Sydney. Apart from that, he failed, but he scored a century. BGT 2023, he didn't score a century. That was for the first time. 17, he scored. He scored in 14-15. Oh man, that guy is a legend. And Steve Smith, if you want to look at test greats, one of the greatest in this era. Kohli is a very distant second. But white
As a
ball,
test, yeah.
white ball
overall
is
stats, Kohli is the
miles.
best batsman.
Yep.
In that regard.
But in test matches,
in
it's
test matches, smudges. Yeah.
smudge. And I was just telling you one incident about Steve Smith. Okay, I was talking about that in the Kent County ground when they were practicing. Steve Smith for one day practiced non-stop batting for 7 hours.
I'd love to.
Non-stop. He came in at 10 o'clock. He left at 7.
That's 9 hours, by the way.
Just batting.
That's 9 hours.
No, he just wanted to bat and bat. One guy was just coming up saying that, 9 hours, but I don't know. Maybe he came in at 12. He was warming up for 2 hours, batted from 12 to 7. And when they were going to close the gates, he said, do you really have to? He just loves to bat.
Yeah.
He just loves it.
I mean, I remember seeing this very reel today from, I don't know if ICC posted it or Cricket Australia posted it. And they asked everyone, what's the worst birthday gift you could give to Steve Smith? And everyone said, you could tell him there's no practice today. And that would be the worst gift to him.
Look at it.
Yeah.
95. And his average overall now is 61. Overall in test cricket, that too after 97 test matches. He's a freak.
Freak. That was the word I was looking for.
And he could have been, and also he gave Australia that win in the BGT as a captain.
Yeah.
So
there is something
about Steve Smith. There's something about Steve Smith which makes him very, very special. So, tough day. Tough first day for India in the World Test Championship
final.
Hardly
an ideal start to the final.
Yeah.
Hardly ideal, I think. See, we are all trying to sugarcoat everything. I would say the decision to bowl was wrong. Actually, you played into Australia's hands on day one itself.
As I said, it was a good toss for them to lose. You took that worry of, conditions are like this, but they could be like that, out of their hands. You made the wrong decision and gave them the right decision on a platter.
Yeah.
Indeed. So it's really, really sad. And India has squandered the advantage by, the sun came out tomorrow also, it's going to be similar. Day 4 is expecting some patches of rain. But again, not enough to delay play totally for the entire day. You remember, if day 4 is washed out, you have day 6 to look forward to. But looking at it, I had the first instinct that a draw might be possible. Because on this dead wicket, maybe you would want India's batters can also capitalize. But application is the key.
Yeah, you have to remember with Smith, he's applied himself beautifully.
Yes.
He's played the most Steve Smith-like innings.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's just batted and batted and batted.
Yeah, a collapse. Albi is like saying, can India come back tomorrow and bring Australian batting collapse? Maybe. But it's just on a prayer.
But even then, I think what would have been better, and again I'm saying this with the benefit of hindsight, But rather than take the new ball today straight after 80 overs were done, you maybe could have waited for morning conditions tomorrow and taken it.
No, but they didn't take it immediately. They took it after 82 overs, 2 overs.
My point
But
is,
still, 3 overs and tomorrow fresh conditions, it remains the same. The ball
Same
remains the
thing.
same. There's not much of...
Yeah, exactly. It's no one's going to play with it overnight.
Because see, normally you take it 80 overs, then 10 overs, it still remains fresh and the lacquer remains. So that's no problem in that way. So you took the right decision, but again...
But see, by the way, even the swing they were getting was not troubling anyone.
Yeah.
Smith was pretty comfortably navigating it.
Yep. So you have Green, you have Carey. That's the batting lineup you have, and then you have Stark, Cummins. They are also capable bats, by the way. So that's the way I look at it. So a tough day one with Travis Head giving India a big headache.
Yeah.
Steve Smith in prime form with 95, and if he scores a century, man oh man, the legend of Steve Smith will only continue. And Shubham with a super chat is like saying the difference between our players and Aussies, we take... Wait, there was a super chat, yeah.
Super chat, yeah.
The difference between our players and Aussies is we take breaks from international cricket, while they...
Can't believe that full.
Yeah, and Mitch Stark is the best exponent of it. Okay. So he's talking about the breaks. India rarely takes a break and they look jaded, which I do agree on.
No, what he means is basically that we take break from, that we take break from internationals.
Yes.
Whereas the Aussies more often than not end up not playing too many
IPL games.
Not just necessarily IPL. I mean, how many
Franchise
Aussies-
leagues.
How many Aussies do you know who play consistently around the world in other franchise leagues?
Yeah.
It's only the ones who aren't centrally contracted and who have no prospects, like some Chris Lynn maybe.
Yeah.
You know. Otherwise, even or to an extent, someone like a Stoinis who's in demand in
Franchise leagues, yeah.
world over, but he's not a test player.
He's not a test player.
So
Priorities are clear.
Yeah.
If you want to play tests, can't play franchise cricket. If you want to play franchise cricket, can't play tests.
Or the ones who do it also will balance it out. Like with Cummins, you never saw him play anything else beyond IPL cricket. That's it.
That's
and even there, by the way, I'm saying this
Bit
as
of
a Kolkata, even there, bit of BBL. That's the thing, bit of BBL. Leave aside that, I'm saying as a Kolkata fan, he was never the greatest bowler also. At times.
But he won you a game.
Oh, he's won several games. And again, but they're inconsistent. And every time you watch him bowl, you think, that's a good ball for a test match. That's a really good ball for a test match. But he'll bowl a hard leg whack.
Yep.
So the priorities are straight.
Yeah, Mitchell Stark in particular, he's got his priorities clear. He wants to play 100 test matches for Australia.
Yes.
I think how much has he played? I think he's played 60 if I'm not mistaken, 60 or 70.
And so he's going to do whatever. I think with Stark, the likeliest thing you'll see is that he'll take a call in the not so distant future about one white ball format.
Oh, he's played 78 tests.
Wow.
So
not
he's,
ungettable.
Yeah, he'll play 5 more.
Yeah.
Then he'll play 2 or 3 tests against West Indies and 3 against Pakistan. So by 2025, he can possibly get to 100. And how old is he?
He'd have to play another, I think, 4 years.
4 years.
Maybe.
See, England also are coming to Australia for a 5 test Ashes.
Okay.
So that
there we go.
There might, by 2025, he would have played for 100 tests and he'll call it quits.
Yep.
But fitness permitting, he's incredibly susceptible
No,
to...
but that's what I'm saying. I find if he has fitness issues, I think he'll give up on white ball format. Might just say goodbye to ODIs or T20s.
After the 2023 ODI World Cup, that's it. He may just focus on red ball.
I mean, he's won a T20 World Cup and an ODI World Cup as a player. Does
Plus-
he need to accomplish anything else?
Plus, if he does this, he's achieved the Grand Slam.
Correct.
Yep.
If you look at it. So,
Are there any other super chats?
no other super chats. I think we can call it a day.
Yes.
And that's
Call
it.
it
If
a
it is a
night.
draw, then who gets the WTC?
Yeah, Satish, unfortunately it's shared.
It's
no
shared.
super overs here.
Although if I would have added maybe the first innings lead, that's a good concept.
Yeah.
Like how the Ranji, I find that a good strategy. Bat once, bat big, get a first innings lead, win the trophy. You want an outright winner, but here ICC playing conditions are clear. If it's a draw, the trophy is shared.
Yep.
Anyway.
So thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live.
See you all tomorrow.
See you all tomorrow, at
15.
not 2:15, 2:30. Because the toss is done.
Okay, right. So we don't have to. Okay, that's nice.
2:30 we'll be there, and at 3 o'clock we'll see the match start.
Yep.
So Nikhil will be giving you live updates from the Oval, We'll also have some very interesting updates from Sunil Gavaskar.
Yeah.
And maybe from some of the other cricketers as well.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that.
Yep. So from me, Gargi and Shane, it is bye-bye, Nandri, see you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.